Welcome to the Explainer. We all think we know Santa Claus, right? Jolly guy, red suit, reindeer. But what if I told you that almost everything we picture was basically invented by a single, anonymous poem? Yup. Today, we're unwrapping the incredible true story and the 200-year-old mystery behind a Christmas icon. Okay, first things first, let's get the biggest myth out of the way. You've probably heard that Coca-Cola invented the modern Santa. Nope. While their ads in the 1930s were a huge part of making that image famous, the jolly red-suited Santa we know and love was already around for decades before Coke ever put him in a magazine.
So if it wasn't Coke, then who was it? Well, the answer isn't that simple. It's actually this fascinating mashup of history, old folklore, and, this is the key, one incredibly powerful poem that completely changed the game for Christmas. Okay, let's get into it. See, before we had the Santa Claus, there were a bunch of different figures, kind of a Santa all-star team. And over hundreds of years, their stories and their best features all got blended together to create the one character we recognize today. And what's so cool is how you can see all the different pieces of the puzzle coming together here. You've got a generous saint from ancient Greece, a skywriting Norse god, a cheerful English party starter, and each one of them handed over a key ingredient to create this brand new, all-American character. All right, so let's jump to December 23rd, 1823. A newspaper in New York, the Troy Sentinel, publishes a poem completely anonymously. It's called Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, and it would pretty much invent the version of Christmas we celebrate today. We all know that line, right? It's iconic. But this poem did so much more than just paint a cozy picture. It literally gave us the blueprint for Santa Claus. I mean, just look at this list. It's incredible how much came from this one piece of writing. Before this poem, ideas about St. Nick were all over the place. After this poem, almost every detail was set in stone. The sleigh, the chimney, the belly that shook like a bowl full of jelly, it's all in there. But here's the catch. For a poem that had so much influence, nobody put their name on it. It was published completely anonymously, and that kicked off a literary whodunit that has lasted for 2 centuries, and, believe it or not, is still debated today. So, the big question is, who actually wrote the poem that invented Santa? Let's meet the 2 main suspects in this fascinating mystery, because the evidence for both of them is pretty compelling, and people are still arguing about it. So in one corner, you've got Clement Clark Moore. He was a very respected professor in New York City who eventually came forward and took credit. And in the other corner, you have Henry Livingston Jr., a poet whose family swear up and down that he was the real author, reciting it to them long before it ever saw a printing press. Now, the case for each of these guys is really interesting. Scholars, historians, and even computer scientists have thrown everything they have at this, from digging through family stories to running complex linguistic analysis, all to try and solve this thing. So the evidence is totally split. Moore is the official guy, he claimed it, he published it, and like the slide says, some modern computer models actually back him up. But he was known as this super serious, kind of grumpy academic, which just doesn't fit the poem's happy-go-lucky vibe. Livingston, on the other hand, never claimed it himself, but his whole writing style and his Dutch background, a perfect match. And a lot of the time, the whole argument boils down to this one line, specifically the names of those last 2 reindeer. This is where the detective work gets really good. Okay, so check this out. The original names are Dunder and Bliksem. That's Old Dutch for thunder and lightning. Now, Henry Livingston Jr., the guy had Dutch roots. He spoke the language. Clement Clark Moore, he did not. So Livingston supporters say this is the smoking gun, that when Moore finally claimed the poem, he changed the names because he didn't even know they were Dutch. But you know, at the end of the day, it almost doesn't matter who wrote it, because that vision of a jolly old elf completely captured America's imagination. It became the Santa Claus. The poem provided the script, you could say, but it was illustrators like the famous Thomas Nast for Harper's Weekly who really brought the character to life. Nast took all those descriptions from the poem, and then he added the North Pole Workshop, the list of good and bad kids, and he's the one who really cemented that red suit as Santa's official uniform. So the next time you see Santa, you'll know the real complex story behind him, this amazing blend of ancient saints, old European folklore, a mysterious poem, and the artists who made that vision a reality. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Does a powerful myth like this even need one single author, or is its true magic found in all of us, telling and retelling the story? It's proof of the power of a great story, no matter who gets the credit. Happy Christmas to all.